Journeys of Empowerment is more than a podcast. It's a place to pause and return to what feels true beneath everything that's moving. I'm Ilze Spigule-Buijtenweg, and here I sit with impact-driven female founders at moments where something has to shift. Not always visible, but deeply felt. We talk about those moments when direction no longer fits, when success feels different than expected, when something quieter asks for your attention. Because clarity isn't something you have to force alone. It often begins in a conversation, hearing something you've sensed, but couldn't yet name. So as you listen, notice what resonates. See what opens or becomes a little clearer. What if the moments that unsettle you the most are the ones quietly inviting you back to yourself? In this episode I sat down with Ilze Spigule-Buijtenweg, community builder, VP of events at Professional Women's Network Netherlands, coach and someone who keeps meeting herself through every season of change. We explored what it means to live across countries, roles and identities, and how those transitions slowly reveal who you are underneath it all. How the inner critic can shape your sense of self-worth, and that shifts when you begin to question that voice instead of obeying it. What it takes to move through depression, and the quiet courage of allowing support instead of carrying everything alone. And how motherhood, career shifts and community building become not separate paths, but mirrors for deeper self-understanding. She named it gently, "Remember you are made of stardust, just like the rest of us." And this one landed. Sometimes becoming is really remembering. Let's get into it. Ilze, welcome to Journeys of Empowerment.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Are you up for it?
Yes.
Always. Let's right away jump in. Let's envision your future.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you aspire to become?
That's one of the crazy dreams I sometimes have, but I actually love it. I'm a manager of a tiny hotel somewhere in I don't know which country, but somewhere where it unites community, which also serves as a place for people to gather for, I don't know, yoga workshops, retreats, spa. I would love to have a place where I have a chance to create a space for others to rediscover themselves, or to relax and calm down and be more present with themselves.
Wow. And what would be then your role in it?
I'd be like the spider in the middle of it all.
Right away in the intersection of the experience over there.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That says a lot already. It's a lot to unpack, but we will. So we've had a briefly conversation, of course, based upon our pre-video conversation, as preparation for a non-edited one-take deep dive into your personal journey. And we both agreed on a central theme. But before we did that, we had a suggestion. Mm-hmm. And the one closest came out of our preparation call was learning about yourself through change. And the central theme which came out of my analysis was returning to self through change. And which one do you love to share with the audience as the central theme, or the Northern Star, if you will?
I believe it's more learning than returning.
So it's the learning about yourself through change.
It could be also rediscovering yourself through change, if we're going into rewarding it. Because I believe that we are all growing, we are all changing. And the thing is, how do we catch up with where we are at this moment?
And to understand, there are so many beautiful concepts shared into this podcast. And I always get curious, okay, do we have a sort of common understanding what we mean by certain words?
Yep.
And the word self, what does it mean for you? I think it's very important that we know that if we travel with your Northern Star throughout the conversation, we also understand, okay, what is your interpretation of self?
It definitely has changed during the years, what self means. Because I remember in teenager years, you're obviously like, yeah, who am I? What do I want to be? Like, da, 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 da. It's all about roles. I think that, and then later it turns into different roles, because then you're rediscovering yourself as a mother, and your role as a daughter changes the moment you become mother. You become wife, you become, like, you change countries, so you have to make new friends, you have to rediscover who you are as a friend. And I believe self has all those different things in it, and that's why it's so fascinating. But it's also, cheesy as it sounds, it is the miracle of being. It is the amazingness of being alive, and why and how.
Let's unpack that a little bit. Let's unpack that a little bit more by sharing your story and bring it back to the returning. Sorry.
Yeah.
The learning about yourself, or rediscovering
Mm-hmm.
the learning about yourself through change. Let's go on a trip all the way back to the young Ilze and look through the lens of your life. And well, maybe it's good to have a conversation about your life, the story, about, well, the inflection points on your life.
Yep.
And ultimately to help people understand who you are and why you're doing what you're doing, because we're also getting there. And who do you aspire to become? And let's align and connect the dots. And it's always easier in hindsight. It's always possible in hindsight. So here we go.
So I was born in Latvia, which back then was part of Soviet Union, just to give the background. But I obviously was completely unaware of all of the political situation. As a child, you grow up, you're just happy-go-lucky. I had amazing kindergarten experience. I pretty early became very responsible, being the oldest daughter, so I had to take care also of my youngest. I still remember in the winters when I came home from school, I was the first one home, so I had to start the heating, which required you actually to take a shovel and put some coals into the it's not an oven, how do you call it? Doesn't matter.
And stove.
Yeah, well, it's the whole heating.
Yeah. Central heating.
Old school version. So I think I pretty quickly became very independent, but at the same time, I was always I had the high achiever in me, definitely, because I didn't like to be in the competitiveness. Oh my God, I never liked to be the last one. I was like, and I was smart enough to win the board games or physical enough to actually run some races, but not too much. And so I think I also consciously choose the things where I was good at. And in a way, it also played back in terms that I often felt like I don't deserve to achieve this because I haven't put enough effort in. So if it comes easy, then it's like, then it doesn't really mean anything. However, when I look back, I started really early with dancing, with singing. I finished music school, piano class. I was doing basketball. At one point when I was 11 or 12 years old, I was doing music school, folk dancing, and basketball, which meant that I had pretty much a normal school, and after school, I would be running to 1 or 2 activities after school. And I did that pretty much on my own in a big city. Well, Riga is a big city for me, but maybe not as big as Amsterdam. So it was, it gave me also this feeling like, I can do a lot of things. And then it came like, okay, how do you choose from all the things? If you know that you can do whatever, you still have to make a choice. What do you want to do? And then my study choice actually landed on something where it was a new university coming in, the Stockholm School of Economics. They opened their branch in Latvia. And I thought, cool, you get bachelor's in 2 years. And it's economics. It's like, making money. It's important. But I was always so curious into going and studying psychology. And so I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And I guess it was because there were a couple of my classmates going to try to get into the same university. And those entry exams were quite early in the year. So I was like, okay, I try. If I don't get in, then I go to psychology. And the competition to get in there was huge. It was like one person, like 100 people for one place. And I got in. And I still can't understand, well, I do basically, but back then I was flabbergasted. Because those classmates of mine, those were like doing Olympics and winning stuff. And they were like, I thought they were really smart guys. So that's also something where I realized, okay, it's not only your smarts, it's also like your personality. It's also your logics. It's also your drive. There's a lot of things which people were taking into consideration in the interview process and why they chose me. And then, of course, it started the studying process. And there I had to study. Like me, who always was able to like just fly through based on my natural intelligence or intuition or something, I had to really study hard. And I can still remember financial economics, like, oh my God. I took 3 tests to pass it.
No.
Yeah?
Yet you passed.
Yet I passed. But there was a struggle. That was a bit of a hubble there. And there were definitely thoughts coming up there. Why do I do this? It's like, come on, macroeconomics. You know how boring that is? Okay, if you're not into that kind of stuff. But I wasn't. And I was like, so for me, obviously, like marketing and HR were the topics where I loved it because it was all connected to psychology, behavioral, like how people behave and why.
Behavioral science. And,
exactly. So you're like, that was more my style. Well, then it kind of makes sense that after my studies, I went into a role of marketing in a travel agency. So I was also pretty sure from the start that I want to be in service industry. I want to work with people. I don't want to sit alone somewhere in a corner of a room putting in data in a computer. I thrive on being with other people.
One question: if you look back at the first stage of your life,
yes,
and you see all the things you're doing, you did, the sort of sports and the extra curriculum besides going to school. Why was that important for you to do so many things, to jiggle so many balls? And why is it important for you to, why was it so important for you to do that all at a certain level? What is the underlying drive behind that?
I guess I did those things because I was curious about them. Some of them probably were like basketball. It's kind of like a family thing, right? If my dad wouldn't be playing basketball, my cousin. So like, but I didn't go to super duper heights there. My cousin actually ended up in the national team. But anyway, so the choice of sports came because of a family tradition. However, I knew I wanted to be in a team. I never wanted to do, let's say, a tennis where you're a single person, so it was about team effort, and yeah, that's probably where playing piano was sometimes challenging. On the other hand, for me, that was the beauty of learning about music, and music has always helped me in many levels.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah. Music is an important part in your life, right?
Yeah.
And also, why is it important to be so very good at what you do? It's so easy to understand. I'm trying my best, and I will. But what is the driver behind that?
I guess it's. Well, you can also look at it probably from a deeper level, and there's some deeper need for appreciation or for being seen and valued. But I think for me back then, it wasn't even an option to do something without doing it properly or good. I look sometimes now at my kids, and they have a different mindset. I was really like, okay, if I go somewhere, I get there, and then I at least give my best, and then I see, okay, well, as I said, with basketball, it didn't come out. At one point, it was like, okay, and it was too many things I was doing after school, so one thing had to drop, and I had the chance to choose. I actually wanted to drop the music school, but I dropped the basketball. Looking back, it was a good choice.
Yeah, music is the became the red thread through your life.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so you
so I started
in a
working
marketing travel
Yeah.
Agency and travel business or agency.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because you love to work with people.
Yes, and in a way, I
in
also
service,
worked.
In being in service also.
Yes, I actually worked in that agency already during my school, so I was already selling tickets, and it's also like it's another passion of mine, obviously traveling. So it made sense because when you sell tickets to people flying, and hey, back then it wasn't an online, like just you type in 3 clicks and you get a ticket. You had to call in, you had to like talk, get the codes correct, and then it was handwritten tickets. Learning how to process credit cards, taking cash, seeing
a lot of handling.
Yeah, but imagine like seeing also like the money bills which you've never even like had in your hands, because like that's what business people were paying for their flights or for their ferry tickets. So for me, it also came with a lot of dreaming, like, oh, it would be nice to go there, or what are they? How does that look? So it made sense. It was connected with dreams of people, and in a way, when you sell them the ticket, you feel as if you're helping them to get to their dream destination.
Oh, wow, that's important for you.
It is
helping people to get somewhere. Helping people to get somewhere.
Yes, but in a way, ultimately, to make people feel better, to make people be happier. It's
obviously
there
it
is
does
a
something.
theme.
Yeah,
there is a theme, definitely.
We will get there. We will discover that one.
Yeah.
And so then you started there,
and then somewhere down the line, a bigger depression hit me. And I think there was something external, like, indeed, I still remember I went to ask for a raise or something, and they said like, "No, we can't afford this" or something. And I felt like, hey, I'm doing a lot. I'm bringing new business. I created the whole business travel section there, and like, yeah, there should be something. But so I got a no, and I think that's also where I've started to realize that my inner voice, the inner critic, or sometimes you call it inner bitch, pardon my French, but it's somebody who puts you down, and you're trying and you're doing something, but in the background there's constantly this noise like, that's not good enough, like blah, blah, blah. So, yep, I did disappear for a moment from everything. I got completely disconnected. Back then I thought that I just feel like I want to hide. And so I didn't go to work at one point, called in sick, stayed inside, didn't go out with friends. I mean, I'm a party animal. Not as much anymore, but used to be and it was it was so weird. And only later I realized that I was completely disconnected from myself at all. But back then, I still didn't learn that lesson. That came way later. So that one I just struggled through.
That's too easy. Struggle through.
It was.
How?
Well, you just go through, you cry in the pillow, you stay in, and then at one point you're like, okay, I can't go on like this.
Did you have
I
help?
have to go back. No, not the first couple of times. No pills, no help. Just, that's what I'm saying, toughing it out with yourself. That's why now looking backwards, I'm like, yeah. Anybody who's listening to it, indeed, if you have any problems, you don't have to solve them by yourself. Asking help is not a weakness. Asking help is you being mature about solving something for yourself. And I wish I'd asked for help, because then I probably would have gotten out of it faster and I wouldn't have had repeated episodes later. But it was. And eventually, well, I did go back to work. Then I grew into different roles. And I know I was somebody who could all of a sudden decide, you know what? I really like this thing, PR. I'm just going to go send out my CVs to all the PR agencies, which I have in Riga, and let's see where it takes me. And I did, and I actually got interviews to 3 or 4 of them. And so I moved into another area, which is connected with people, with communication, and that I also really, really loved. But again, another episode hit, and there the company wasn't as forgiving, and so I was let go. So I think that also was a major thing, being let go. It does something to you, and it definitely doesn't help with the depression.
Nah, especially at that moment. Oh, no. Wow. As another slap in your face.
Yeah, but I felt like I deserve it. Because obviously, hey, you have that voice inside of you saying you're not good enough, you're screwing it up, even though you know what you're supposed to do. But the thing is, you're supposed to go out and go to work, be a proper citizen, but you can't do that. But you don't understand why. Now looking back, I had no clue. I didn't have the language. I didn't have the and me, who technically was so interested in psychology, and I had read Freud and Fromm and the big guys, but it never landed properly. And that's also something fun, where I think we are able to discover some things only when we're truly ready for them. And
so sometimes you have read about it.
Yeah.
What you mean is sometimes you can even read about it.
Yeah, and you still don't get it.
And even think, okay, interesting, but it doesn't land. It doesn't resonate. It doesn't on soul level.
Yeah.
It doesn't click.
No, exactly. So you're fast forward, when I started to learn coaching, then it really landed. Then really the whole behavioral systems. How do we respond to there's something happens, then we have a thought, then we have an emotion, then we act on it. And that we actually have the ability to stop somewhere in between there and twist it around. Or if not in that moment, after 90 seconds or 3 minutes or 2 hours, we can still realize what happened and be aware of it and twist it around and get out of it. But back then, it wasn't the case. Anyways, it again, like it passed. It's like, it's ups and downs and ups and downs. So you go through a lower period, but then you get back up. And I got back up in a really amazing place. That was my absolute dream job. It was a 5-star boutique hotel. Mm-hmm. And I was the marketing and sales director. And that meant that I had a product which I could sell with pride because it was amazing. It was super duper fabulous design. It was really great team. I'm still, whenever I'm thinking about teams, I'm looking back at the beginning there. That was a team. We understood each other from half a word. If you said you're going to do it, you did it. There was no running after people or checking if they'd done this or that. It was like, we moved together. Oh, they spoiled me. Because obviously, like, you're in a 5-star setting. That means that we, as a management team, we also went to other fabulous hotels to experience them. Well, in the Baltics, yeah. I mean, not further, but at least in a car drive distance. We went to good restaurants. We had workshops. We had wine tastings, whiskey tastings. You oh my God, I'm such a, like, I realized back then that I could be like this bon vivant, just enjoying all the good things in life. Because I do. I mean, and they are amazing. And they are there. So, like, hey, why not to enjoy, right? And I obviously learned a lot. It wasn't only just the posh things. It was hard work as well. Mm. And it was, for me, I had pretty much a freedom to create a lot of things and to start a lot of things. And for me, that also meant I really had a beautiful up moment there. And then I got pregnant. And that changed me. Oh my God. You hear that? You hear people saying, yeah, you'll have kids and then you'll see how that changes you. And you're just like, before that, you're like, no, yeah.
I get it. Which we don't. Sure.
Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Tell me more. But it was like, it suited me. I felt happy as an elephant being pregnant. I loved, I remember my best friend, my best girlfriend was with me during the labor. And right after that, I was already there. And she was like, so? I'm like, oh, I can do this again. It's like, and it was a natural birth, though, without any epidurals, nothing. It was in a bath. And yes, there were moments which I don't remember. And my friend said, like, yeah, you were squeezing my hand a bit there. But I also, that was again my event coordinator thing coming out, because I had candles there. I had chocolate. I had a bit of a cognac for after, like, in case. Mm-hmm. I had all my music with me, like CDs. So my friend was DJing the lower lounge. I remember she was like, okay, now we're putting on some serious music. And so we had Brandenburg concertos at the moment, and then this and that. So, but it was thinking about how to create a space where I would feel okay and where my child would feel okay, even without knowing what the child is gonna, like, it was just
appreciate or whatever.
Yeah, it was just like, and of course the child only wants the closeness and the milk, and but I was really, really amazed. And back then also, the best part was being able, with the Latvian system there, I could stay home and I got fully paid. It's nothing like here. Sorry, guys. I don't know how women really live here after giving birth and being required to go back to work so fast. in Latvia, back then I had officially 1.5 years.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't stay that long home. After 9 months, I called back my work and I said, can I come back for half, like part-time? And I did. So I had a nanny and I worked 3 days a week.
Mm.
And then I had the other 2 actually to spend with my baby.
Mm.
And so that was the absolutely fabulous balance, work-life balance, I would say.
What did motherhood learn, the first time motherhood learned you? He taught you.
What ultimate love is.
Mm.
Like, you don't love anybody the way you love your child. Absolutely. Like, no. It's different. I love my husband, but the love for the children is still, it's a different level. It's different, non-negotiable.
Sort of unconditional.
Yeah. The unconditional thing, you understand what's the unconditioned means.
No.
And, but obviously for me, being a single mom back then, it meant also, okay, I have to plan for everything. I'm the one responsible. But for me, it wasn't scary because, as I said, I learned responsibility early on. And that was also the decision why I pretty quickly decided that back then I was really against abortion. Well, except in cases if it would have been a rape or something like that. But I saw it as it was a miracle happening. And so for me, it wasn't a question of getting rid of the kid. But it happened that it wasn't also a question of being in a relationship with the guy, because I was like, I don't want to be with him. It was a nice fling. And I think I was so right forward that I actually wrote to him, because he was living back in another country back then. And I just wrote to him and I said, hey, I'm pregnant and I know it's yours. However, I don't see us being together as parents. And I don't want you to push into any responsibility. Take as much as you want to. Well, the guy actually bailed out completely. He was like, no, it can't be mine. Like, you're just bullshitting. And I'm like, hey, I knew I can't be with that guy, right?
At least you try to.
Well, I thought it's fair to communicate.
Yeah, very, very. Sorry that he reacted like that, but sorry to hear that. But
no, but it's what it is. And it kind of like, but what I thought later was like, I was blunt about this. I don't want to be with you together. But hey, on the other hand, what would I be like? And I already made up my mind. I was like, I have both of my parents. I have a lot of friends. I have the support system. And I have a good salary. I have a place to live. I can do it. And I also kind of like, I didn't think that I'm going to be single forever. So kind of like, it wasn't that. I think it was at the moment, it was like, okay, this is what's happening. And I'm dealing with it, and I'm taking responsibility for it. And I didn't know I'm going to enjoy it that much. But that was it. Sorry. Next was the big crisis of 2008, 2009 in Europe, where everything financially collapsed. So pretty much all the hotels also went underground. And I realized that, there's not much future for me back in Latvia, because I wanted to be in a hotel environment. But I knew it was like completely uncertain what's going to happen. How long is it going to take? And I had a good friend living in Brussels. And so I just took a bit of a vacation, went to visit her, celebrated her name's day, drinking wine. And we've been traveling with her a lot before. And one of our dreams was, when we're old, we're going to have this bed and breakfast in Tuscany. Right? And again, a moment of click.
Yeah,
why do you have to be
the seed, right?
Why do you have to be old to start a bed and breakfast.
That's a good question.
Oh, yeah. And then I was like, okay, maybe not in Tuscany, but how about Brussels? And I literally just did a quick market analysis. I was like, guys, given the numbers, they have the highest room rates in Europe, okay, after Amsterdam and London. But they didn't have enough bed and breakfast. They had a very good supportive system for starting bed and breakfast. So I was like,
let's go.
You know what? I'm starting a bed and breakfast in Brussels.
Why not?
Like that, single mom, right? But I was like, indeed, it was a crazy jump in a cold water. However, I had my friend there. I had a backup. I could stay there. I had my parents to invest with a written agreement, how quickly I'm paying it back, which I insisted on because I also didn't want it to be just a gift. I was like, okay. Because my dad was like, yeah, you'll probably be back in half a year. And I was like, okay, we'll see. And actually within half a year, I was out of the red. I became profitable after half a year. That's like unimaginable. But it went amazing. I had occupancy rates above 80%. Okay, I was 10 minutes from the commission house. And when I started, there was pretty much no bed and breakfast in the area. So you had only the hotels. And I knew exactly, because I researched, what's the price the commission pays. So I stayed exactly around that.
Exactly. Well, what made it, before we go further, what made it, in your opinion, so successful and so fast? What do you think is the secret sauce there?
I think I quickly got out on Booking.com, on Airbnb. I quickly got out, I promoted it really, like, I had made already friends. There was a Latvian community. And then very quickly, the Latvian community realized my ability to bring people together and to organize events. So I was voted in as the president of the Latvian Association in Belgium.
Smart choice.
Yeah, but for me it was easy peasy, because on one hand, first of all, of course, I was always, I'm Latvian. I'm not going to hide that. Second of all, organizing events, bringing people together. Been doing that anyways. I think I started with when I was 10. I was the party organizer back at school. I did our first disco night.
Of course, at age 10.
And then while studying, I was, of course, in the party committee. Loved standing behind the bar. Oh my God, that's the best spot, because you get to chat with everybody. And so it made sense, but it also obviously helped with promoting the bed and breakfast, and what it did mostly was, obviously it was a bonus or pro bono for the association whenever there were guests coming, that they would stay at our bed and breakfast. But that meant I had famous Latvian musicians. I had Ksenia Sidorova, who is playing accordion, and she was rehearsing her piazzolla for the concert later. I couldn't do anything that day in the house. I was just sitting there or I would have famous Latvian pop singers just, also just staying there and having breakfast at our table like normal people, or drinking wine in the evening when they come and just chatting. So it was a fabulous space, and I really loved it. I definitely am going to do that again. But now maybe when I'm older. So I kind of I established myself without any friction in Belgium. So it kind of came, woof, there was the bed and breakfast. A second point, my husband, we knew each other for a while, but he's a Dutch guy. So he lived always in Holland, and I lived in Latvia. And back then I always was like, no, I'm never going to leave Latvia. And now I'm leaving Latvia. And obviously we're having a drink somewhere, and he hears, I'm moving to Brussels. And he's like, oh my God, okay, that's my chance. I'm moving to Brussels too.
Really?
Yeah. And from there on, it just went like, poof. And we actually moved in, and he helped me to start a bed and breakfast. I'm laughing that it actually was like, it was a pragmatical choice because he worked for IKEA, so he had a discount, and I needed to furnish the bed and breakfast.
I was a collateral pleasant surprise which comes along, right?
Sure. No, I think we were, we had a thing back there as well. It's just that the distance didn't make it easy. And then it was him making the decision and me kind of like being like, oh.
Okay.
Right.
And how did that make you feel that he made that choice? That's
I admired him because he had to finish his previous relationship. Mm-hmm. And hey, I was a single mom, so I was a package deal. I wasn't just me. It was a tiny being coming with me.
So how did it make you feel?
I knew I can trust him. Like he's such a trustworthy and he's like truly good-hearted and super reliable person. And I think for me that also, besides other clicks, it was like that was the thing where you can trust. And for women that's really important, feeling safe. And with him I've always felt safe.
And to be honest, for all men listening, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's not only for women.
True.
It's the same for men. But we are taught, act tough, and a little bit like, but we are all vulnerable. We are all human.
Absolutely.
We all need to be taken care of, at least for our soul, caring for our soul.
Definitely. And I think it's a clear sign when a man opens up and shares something vulnerable with a woman. You're in for it. Unless you react in the wrong way, because I've seen that too.
What is the wrong way then?
Ooh. There's you should just Google some on YouTube clips or something. But there was definitely where the guy comes and he shares his dreams, and the wife goes like, "What?" Like
Swipe.
Yeah, exactly, or something. Like, you can't do that. You have to be like, women want the man to listen, to be sensitive, It goes both ways. We also have to be sensitive, and we can't be just like, that's a stupid dream or something. You can't say that stuff.
Yeah, but you find it funny. So how sensitive are you?
Oh, I'm very sensitive.
All right.
Less now, but that's because of age and wisdom. But early, oh my God, I was so bad at taking criticism.
Yes.
Ridiculous. No, it was like, because of the inner critic. You get criticism and it kind of like confirms your inner critic. And instead of listening to criticism as an opportunity to become better or learn, you hear it only as a confirming you suck.
And is that also tied to our central theme, learning about yourself through change?
Yes.
Is that also a sort of triangle? Like we have the inner critic inside of us. Mm-hmm. We have our sense of self, and maybe another thing. But if it's our sense of self, and it's about our inner critic, and it's about the person we want to become, and then the inner critic gets in the way and is damaging the inner self. Is it like that?
I think.
How do you see that?
I think like inner self is like a sun, and the inner critic is like a cloud.
Oh.
Which just it makes you invisible. It makes you less than you are.
It makes you feel less than you are.
Of course. Yeah. It doesn't really make you. It's just a thought, right? It is just a thought. And but it's really important to understand that indeed your true self is not the inner critic. To distinguish that voice and to be able to not completely disregard it, because it also needs to be heard. Sometimes.
And you can't ignore it.
You can't ignore it because it's just gonna go. It's gonna come up in other ways. But you have to. Of course, it's a lot of inner work, so you have to work with it. But just to give, I don't know, a tip from what worked for me was, indeed, is listening to it, maybe writing it out, and then looking at it, and come on, you have so many tools to apply then. To analyze it, to debunk it, to say like, no, it's not true. It's like, it's almost like you talk to your inner critic, like with a little child who's having a tantrum.
What works for you?
I love EFT, so it's emotional freedom tapping, which is a sequence where you tap at certain points and you go through and you talk out all the negativity which is in you, like, oh my God, I'm so annoyed by this person, blah, 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 and so you really speak it all out while tapping. So there's this neuroscience connection also, obviously, with you speaking out and allowing yourself to ventilate. And then you twist it around and you turn it into a positive ground, and you lift yourself up and you end on a high note. And it literally changes your physiological, emotional, and mental state. Another one is like Tony Robbins is like, you just get up, shake it out.
Yeah.
Or walk it out or dance it out. I love dancing in my kitchen. Oh, come on. And if it's with my husband or with my son, even better. But on my own as well. Like, so there is something with
movement.
With movement, with involving your body as well. Because I used to be very mental only. And mental in a sense, like, I'm not mental. But like only thinking, like, I thought that I can think things through and resolve them, and they will be done.
And keep it in your head, circling around.
Yeah. Well, you kind of think that if you thought it through, then it's gone.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, except the fact that it's not only staying in your head, but also muscle memory, body keeps the score, blah, 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 yeah. Where did we end up being?
Do you have an answer on for yourself? What do you believe? What do you believe were your thoughts, which ultimately led to develop a sort of inner critic?
Yeah.
Where do you believe those thoughts come from?
Well, in my case, unfortunately, a little bit from my mom. I don't want to speak bad about her because I know she did the best she knew, right? But now looking back and analyzing it, I'm like, yeah, but hey, she didn't know better. She thought that by criticizing me and saying what I didn't do well was her way of keeping me safe, her way of making me grow, her way of making me become better.
Thank you very much for sharing. I think it's so valuable also for the audience, because I can imagine you're not the only one with an inner critic.
No, everybody has it. I would assume at a different loudness. Like,
I rest my case. So it is very helpful, and I do believe you have a lot of love and respect for your mother, and yet we're not perfect, right?
No. Oh, I wish we all would be perfect.
Isn't perfect? Wow. Do you believe in perfectionism? Really?
No,
believe?
But I've had perfectionist traits, obviously.
Yeah, and it's an illusion anyway.
Absolutely, it's like. But as you said, like, if you do something, you want to try your best and do your best, and I think that now. The more interesting question for me is like, okay, what's the balance between trying your best and accepting and enjoying as is?
And accepting by that yourself.
I said, of course, it's all connected with self.
How far are you in that process?
I'm still figuring it out. But I'm more going into the direction, okay, let's sit with it and see what comes up. I think I've learned more to stop and check in instead of just running like, yeah, that's the right way.
Move, go,
go.
Yeah.
It's like always like the inner engine.
How easily does it come for you to pause and reflect and just be in the moment?
I have to remind myself.
Me too.
It's like, and then you sometimes take those habits and you start, I don't know, you start like morning journaling or evening journaling or you do like meditation or you just learn like, okay, whenever I make a cup of tea, I'm kind of like checking it. You do there's this guy which has positive intelligence, which has PQ reps. You can look it up. So like you're really like working with your senses to settle yourself in. It's a little bit like when people get anxiety, like name 3 things you can see, touch something, hear something here and further away. But so like really how to check in with yourself. But then I forget about it. When things go well, I forget about it. And then I need to really remind myself. And then I'm like, okay, shall I just sit down and think things through? And what I love to do is sometimes to do a brain dump. Because a lot of things still live in my head. Of course. Obviously. And so for me, it's a fabulous habit to just write out everything, because it's not even a to-do list. It's like to dream list, it's like, it's all, and you write it down, and it's like 5 pages, and you're like, oh my God, whew, now I can breathe a bit.
Well, it's a good exercise, writing. It does something with our brain.
Yeah, and handwriting.
Handwriting, handwriting.
Absolutely.
And also, and are you keeping it all at the same place? So you have books or whatever written with...
I have a mess. I'm the person who now and then buys a really beautiful notebook. And then I start it, and then somewhere halfway I forget it that it's in a drawer. And then after a while I look for something to write in, and then I find it, and then I flip it around and I start writing in it from the other side. And then they are like half written in or out, and then there are some like empty sheets, and then I sometimes keep it, and then occasionally I go to this like, okay, there's too much paper and mess and I have to clean it out. And then I just throw it out, and it's fine.
No, but it's good. So it's for you more and more important for the moment in and on itself.
Yes,
than to reread it again and again and again. So that's
yeah, I've had that with like, and it's the rereading is also fun, because you obviously revisit yourself back in that point, and sometimes you read it and you're like, that was a smart thing I thought there, and sometimes it's like, oh my God, Yuffie. Like, okay, good luck. We're away from that.
Yeah. Hey,
but I don't. That was before. Actually, if I'm honest, I think the last couple of years I haven't reread anything. I just clean it out.
Just clean it out. Yeah.
Because indeed, as you're saying, for me, the process of getting it out and getting it on the paper is what works, and that's it. I don't need anything else from that.
So very much in love with your boyfriend, or is it your husband?
Now it's a husband.
So very much in love. He chose deliberately to come to Brussels.
Yeah.
And you lived there for quite some time, and then what?
Almost 7 years.
7 years, wow.
Well, we got married there as well, and our wedding was, like when you love organizing events, and then all of a sudden you have to organize your wedding. And I'm not like the American girls who dreams of her wedding since childhood. I had no idea what I want to do. And specifically, I never planned to be married with somebody who's not Latvian. So like, and living in a different country. So it was like, shoot, what do we do? Where do we, okay. No, we celebrated in Brussels because we have this big bed and breakfast. Well, not so big, but big enough. So there are people who can stay there. And then it's like neutral ground. So the family from Netherlands can come, the family and friends from Latvia come. So everybody came to Brussels. And because we lived in the center, we actually could have the wedding on the Grand Place in the municipality house, which is more like a palace than a house. And so it was obviously a fabulous event, but I realized that was the only way for me to realize what I really want, was to sit down with myself and say, okay, what do you want? Because we have so many Latvian traditions for weddings. I was like, okay, I want that, I don't want that, but this I really want. So I flew in a folk group from Latvia so that they could take us through a couple of the traditions, and we'd had music. Okay, anyways, my friends would still remember our wedding as one of the major fun. It was a whole weekend, but I believe it's also because everybody was away from their kids in a different country. So the party animals were awake and everybody was like taking their best from that. But I definitely remember it was a fun memory, because initially my first thought was like, let's spend the money on just going somewhere to Seychelles, just the two of us, do that kind of wedding. And my husband was like, no, you want to share that with your friends and family. He's just a smart guy. And and I think it was the best decision. It was so amazing. Now, so the years in Brussels, so yes, it came easy in terms of me creating my own work by starting my own business, by starting my own bed and breakfast. It was easy for me because I had the community around me. I was leading it, so everybody knew me. I was speaking, so I was like, and for me, it's always been easy to connect with people and everything. So I actually didn't even realize, because I was living in this Latvian bubble or international bubble. After 7 years, I looked back and I knew I've met 3 or 4 actual Belgian people with whom I connect. Okay. So the rest were all like Latvians or whatever, internationals. So for me, it came so easy. And of course, with all the lift up with getting married and then this and that. But then it started that we wanted to try to get a baby, and it didn't work anymore. And I was like, how is that possible? You get pregnant without a purpose while still being on actually like kind of like avoiding it. And then when you want to get pregnant, you can't get pregnant. It was such a blow, and it was really difficult, and we had a lot of discussions with my husband. But then we decided, okay, you know what? Let's do this. Let's start the IVF. I obviously had no clue what that means. But that was really tough, because it's not just one procedure or something. You're being poked and filled with hormones, and which you have to like put yourself in. So it's like a lot of needles. I don't love needles per se. All the blood tests, all the tests of whether the extra eggs are there good enough, and then killing them and extracting them and this and that. So it was a half a year of monthly, like the hormonal, it's like unimaginable. I mean, we women already live on hormonal waves, right? Yeah. Even with just the normal menstruation, the ups and downs and the phases there. And then when you start messing around with it, then you realize like, holy moly. So, and of course it doesn't work one time, it doesn't work second time, it doesn't work third time. Then I realized I need a break. I can't take it on anymore for the next cycle. I was like, I need a break. But then we went through this, and for me it was also the my stubbornness that I was like, I had it in my head that I want to have this child. And I know even my mom was saying like, well, maybe it's not meant to be, and like let it go. and maybe you can adopt, and of course it's all existing options. But as I said, I was like, no, I can still. I think the insurance covered 6 trials or something, and we actually got lucky with the last one. And then I remember that was also quite something, because obviously before that I actually started to work with a therapist, because those ups and downs, that was the moment when I realized, and I was adult enough to admit that I need help, that it's tough, and it's not enough to talk it with my husband, because he can't be everything and everyone to me, right? And luckily I had a lot of friends there, but that's something which it's difficult to share with others. However, it should be okay, because it actually still, what you need is the human understanding. And it not necessarily needs that somebody else has to have gone through that. But
what makes it difficult then for you?
It's the failure. It's the hormonal changes. It's that you feel like you don't own your own body because of all the poking around and everything. It's the regular things where you have to like be every week for a blood test or this or that. And it means like going to that freaking hospital, which is like an hour away or something. And so it disrupts your life a lot. And of course you have this like, what if it doesn't work? And what if I'm just being like obsessed with this, and like, why am I doing this to myself in a way? So there's a lot of outer and inner criticism, and also like, yeah, it's easier to give up. And that's where it's good to have somebody to talk about it. And I'm so glad that I actually did look for a therapist back then. Because what she did tell me was like, hey, the moment when we were successful and I was pregnant finally, she said, as one of our wrap-up sessions, she said, well, maybe you should start a community for women who are going through IVF.
Wow.
And I was about to do that, except my husband got offered to move to Sweden. And then with all of that, it kind of like evaporated. And so he got this offer. He comes to me, he's like, well, what do we do? And I'm like, hey, we should take it. Otherwise, you're always going to wonder how it could have been. Like, we've moved to Brussels. We should be okay with moving to Sweden. I'm going to have a baby. I'm going to be fine at the beginning. We'll figure it out. Thought I. That was my deepest hole I ever stepped into. So we moved with me being heavily pregnant. I needed a doctor's note to fly. We flew with 2 cats. And so pregnant, 2 cats, goldfish. We didn't even ask to take along, so we left it with the friends. But I thought it would be a nice trick for the airline company. But so we moved there, and luckily my husband has found a place where we're staying. I trusted him with that without seeing the place. Imagine he was the one going there, and he was just like, through Skype a little bit showing me, like, yeah, this should be okay. I'm like, yeah, looks good. It's light enough. Location, yeah, it's good. And so we started living in Sweden, and my son was born. And just to give you like the idea there, which probably also tells something about me and my energy force or strength. So in the morning when the contractions started, we walked to the hospital because it was through the park, 20-minute walk from our house. So we walked to the hospital. Around 5 o'clock, David was born, and 11 o'clock we walked back home. Because in Sweden, apparently, the system is that you can't stay in a hospital because they need the space. So we had to either go to a different city to stay at the location. And I said, you know what, honey, just go pick the buggy, come back.
Wow.
Came back, we put the baby in the buggy, and we walked back to the house. I know, right? And to me, it felt like, yeah, that's normal. And only later I realized, like, no, that's not normal. It's like, but it felt okay to be. However, then I knew that there's postnatal depression, but I didn't have one with the first child, so I thought like it doesn't apply to me. But this time it did, and it was worse than all the previous depression phases, because this time I had a very clear idea that I am happy, I have everything I want, I am married, I'm living in a beautiful place, I have my oldest daughter, I have a son which I wanted and which we worked so hard to get, and yet I'm changing his diapers and I'm crying like crazy, and it's like, luckily then I was able already to understand, okay, this needs help. And luckily for that, I get automatically a therapist assigned from our doctors who were doing the regular checkups. And luckily they did ask also the question to the mom. How are you doing? How are you doing? Because it's annoying how sometimes in the world of the newborns, everybody's asking, how's the baby? How's the baby? How many people are asking, how's the mom? And how many people are asking, how's the dad? Oh, yeah, because, I mean, the guy also doesn't get to sleep.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's a lot of changes. But that was the moment when I went to that therapist, and even though I thought like, oh my God, she's just a newbie, and I felt definitely that I have more knowledge about, okay, maybe arrogant, but I felt like I have a lot of knowledge about psychology and how things work and this and that. But I still remember me deciding, shush, I'm going to go with the process. I'm going to let her ask her questions. I'm going to go with that, whatever it makes, how silly or scripted the questions might feel like. The good part was that at one point she said, your husband has to come in as well. And then I think that was the first time when he truly understood what it is for me to be depressed. Because of course, before that, for him, it was tricky, because you're living with somebody who is depressed, and you feel like, hey, how do I be there for her, or how do I protect my own sanity, or like, so for him it was also a very difficult question. And I think him coming to me with me to the therapist was the first time where he actually got it on a deeper level, and he was like, oh, okay, and that, yes, it's not that he has to do something for me, it's just about being there and hearing you out and seeing you and saying, hey, this too shall pass.
What do you believe has to be understood by men about that specific depression? What do you think we need to understand?
I think there are several phases. There is this one phase where I really needed him to take me by the hand and bring me to the therapist. Sort of like almost to hold my hand while I find a therapist, right? In that case, it wasn't the case, but then because obviously the therapy which I got for the postnatal depression, it was rather short, which was covered. And then after that, I actually got into the issue that I tried to find. I wrote emails to about 50 therapists in the city where we lived, and I got 2 replies, and both of them were, sorry, I'm full, can't take on new clients. And back then I wasn't that aware of all the online possibilities. I mean, I knew they exist, but I didn't really believe in them, because I thought like, how can you help somebody through a phone or through a screen? Like, I mean, Skype was there, Zoom was not yet there because it was pre-COVID. So I didn't even go that option. So I really tried to find I even learned Swedish so that I could take an online CBT program in Swedish. And then through that, I actually got a local Swedish therapist, which waiting line was 3 to 5 months. And so I got there and I was working on my issues in Swedish. Good luck with that. If you learn a language.
It's already complex enough, the situation.
Yeah.
And then also articulating and thinking in Swedish, in a different language.
Yeah.
It's a sort of Sudoku on steroids, right?
Yeah.
Or
and
Scrabble.
I think back then that's where it hit me, and I was like, hey, you know what? I've heard about this coaching a while back, and I was kind of curious, but I never tried it truly out. And then I thought, I'm so independent that for me, the version how to learn about coaching was nothing to go and find a coach. It was about go and get certified as a coach. Right? Logics. Anyways, so I did.
Your logic.
Yeah, my logic. So anyways, I did. Oh my God. And that was really a transformation road there. And I actually went with Tony Robbins. Mm-hmm. And again, it was beginning of COVID. So that's where I realized, okay, it's going to be an online program.
Then you were forced upon.
Yeah, then I was forced upon online life. And then all the Zooms and all the things happened there. And all the connections with other people and deeper conversations and understanding yourself and revealing things about yourself. The fact that I was missing connection in Sweden majorly, even though I did follow the old steps of looking for the Latvians there. Mm-hmm. And they seeing me and my profile were right away like, oh, you're our next president. So I became a president of the Latvian Association there in southern Sweden. But it wasn't the same because the people were in Brussels. The Latvian community lives close to each other. So it's always like, let's go for a wine, let's go for dinner. You go to concerts together. The cultural agenda, partly due to me being like, there were 2 events per month. So you see a lot of
active
people.
Community life. Active
community, definitely. And in Sweden, it was completely otherwise. It was like, no, we don't need that much. We just need Midsummer and the Independence Day. And those are 2 events and that's it. And I felt like, no, I need more. So, and in Latvia, we have a big tradition, which is the Song and Dance Festival, which means that there are about 10,000 people on stage, on podium, on an outside, in an outside concert venue, mm-hmm. and 30,000 sitting in the audience. And the 10,000 are singing. But at the end, when the most famous songs are coming, the audience is singing with you.
Oh, wow.
And it was Latvia's 100th anniversary. And so I was like, gee, I want to go sing in those song festival, but I need a choir. And they used to have a choir there, but it was kind of like that. So I was like, you know what, I'll revive the choir. So I revived the Latvian choir in Skåne. And we went to the song festival. And that was definitely a bit better in terms of building the community. But Sweden was the place which, following the theme of learning through change, was the place which hit me the most. Because as opposed to Belgium, where everything came easy peasy, in Sweden, I was hitting the wall all the time. It was like, I try Latvian community, it doesn't flow the same way as the Belgium. I tried the choir, okay, that kind of goes. I try networking with the locals. I went to networking events because I was aware enough that if I want to meet people, I have to go out. They're not going to come to me because they don't know where I am. So I go out, I meet with people. But they are not the same. The Swedes are different. They are like, they have their friends. Just a storyline, right? With my baby, we had those visits to the doctor, and they had a beautiful thing. They arranged a mama meetup for all the mamas whose children are born, let's say, in the same months, in the same year. Mm-hmm. So you actually come together because you know that your kids are going through the same phase. It's facilitated connection. And I recognized one woman there because I've seen her. She lived next door to us, a couple of doors down. And so I already speak Swedish by then. So I go to her and I say like, hey, why don't we go out walking our babies? Because we're going for walks anyways. Like grab a coffee or something. And her reply was, I have enough friends. And back then, even a concept like that didn't exist in my mind. How can somebody have too many friends or enough friends? Or what kind of thing is it?
For me, it's also a little bit
it is
off.
Weird.
It feels off.
It is weird. But for Swedes, that's actually very, very normal thing. That's what they think. Not all of them say it out because Swedes have an issue of being as honest as Dutch are. So Swedes would always say the politically correct thing.
I have enough.
Or like, I don't know, like, but for me, that was probably the only time when something came out like that, which was like, okay, that's straightforward.
Interesting.
But like, not interesting. It's like, for me, it was more like, how can a person even think like that? Mm. Like, who thinks like that? But anyways, so just to give you an idea, so it meant that also I started singing in a local choir there. So it was again, for me, the music, that for me, singing in a choir is not only doing something creatively, but it's my meditation. It's clearing my head. Because the moment when you have to read the notes from the page or you have to really perform or something, you're fully present. You're fully present. You're on your toes. You're with your all senses open and you're listening in and you're creating something together.
You're in the moment, in the here and now.
And with others.
Very focused with others is very important.
Because you have to hear the others and you have to, when you find that sound where the voices really come together and you have that catharsis moment in a concert, that's like
magic,
spiritually amazing. It's so uplifting. It's like my first choir conductor used to say, that's like cleaning your karma ball. It's like, if that kind of concept even exists, but I keep on using that because it feels like you just clean your whole soul and it just gets lifted and highlighted. But anyway, so consciously singing was always my choice of creative outlet and meditative state. And also fitting in with the local community. Because if you go to a local choir where everything happens in the local language,
then
you integrate.
There's a sense of belonging.
No, you integrate really faster. So yes, and then I guess I could say I dug myself out from my depression by learning coaching and applying all of that to myself. Self-coaching. Mm-hmm. And then I realized, this connects with what I love to do. I love to, as I said back in the travel agency, bring people's dreams of going somewhere or helping them to get somewhere. Like in that 5-star boutique hotel, fulfill a people's dream to staying in a beautiful place.
Creating
having
right
amazing
atmospherics.
service. Like having all that beauty around them and really enjoying it. And it kind of like came down to more personal level. Okay, how can I help other people? Because I'm not the only one who's there, obviously. So it was very clear for me that yes, I want to do this. And also on a very pragmatic note, I was trying to find a job and it didn't go so smooth. I did get a couple of gigs here and there, but they were nothing to really adhere my. They were not up to my level of abilities or even giving me any chance to develop myself or to go somewhere further. So going after starting my own coaching practice was giving me all that. Plus, it was COVID time. Everybody was depressed and having issues.
Well, it was a big pandemic depression.
It was. It was tough. It was, really. And I mean, back in Sweden, we were lucky because we were not completely isolated. We were still allowed to move around with masks and this and that. And I even remember we had choir rehearsals where we would be sitting 1.5 meters from each other with masks on, singing.
Can you imagine?
Crazy. I mean, but like then you look back, all the things you lived through, but how much it builds your resilience, how much it builds your trust in yourself, and how much it actually makes you to realize who you really are and what you're made out of.
And now you are a professional coach.
Yes. Besides other gigs.
Yeah, we will get into that. That's also how we met, not via coaching, but via your other role. But we will get into that. What did you learn the most about the coaching and about your coaching yourself? What did you learn the most about yourself?
Well, one thing was, as I said, that cognitive click, cognitive behavioral, that it's just a thought. It doesn't have to be true. We have enormous amount of thoughts going through our head. You don't have to believe every single one of them. But our conditioning makes us believe in some of them. And so being able to distinguish that and being able to find that, and also realize that, it's actually possible to do something about it. I think that was the biggest realization, because before that, I probably wasn't so aware that I was like, okay, you're going through tough times. Okay, tough luck. Success. Get out of it. Bam. I hadn't... for me, learning so many tools and experiencing them myself, and then being able to indeed to tell it to people and then seeing how they come back. I mean, I remember one of my first clients was a girl in Sweden who was also from another country, moved there, very young, married, and she was going through like a really also tough time. And with all due respect, probably I should have sent her to therapist, and I did suggest it to her, but she still said, hey, I clicked with you, can we still continue working? So I said, okay, but you have to do also therapy on the side. She was like, okay, so she looked for a therapist. Sorry. But I remember she visually changed. Like when you see a visual change in the face, in the appearance, in the energy that the person is giving out because of the work you do with them. When you see those aha moments, there's a beautiful method of elevating, which actually comes from Tony. When you do that with somebody and you see them literally raising inside of their being and allowing themselves to connect with their bigger light, to connect with their bigger essence, with their actual essence. It's so beautiful. It's so fulfilling. And I think I said it to you in our initial talk. It's like the best drug.
It is. I noticed that also in my coaching practice, that the moment when the undercurrent is unlocked and clicks, with the consciousness.
Yeah.
So that's always the sort of the undercurrent, tapping into that. And then there is 9 out of 10 a moment that it instantly clicks. Yeah. And it becomes, the invisible becomes more visible and visceral. And that moment is magic. It's magic. You see that happening. It's the
For me, it's like, if I may, for me, it's almost like you see that the person all of a sudden believes that they can something which they didn't believe before. And the belief opens up, of course, the path. Okay, how? And then it's just a strategic step.
Yes, then it's the tactical.
And that's why I also call myself a mindset coach, because I realize, like, for me, if I look at any area, whether it's health, relationships, wealth, well, whatever coaching you could look at, entrepreneurial coaching, it's all comes down to mindset. And the moment you get to the mindset and you change the mindset, then the identity shift happens. And that's where the huge things
That's where the magic starts, right?
Yep, and that's it.
It's the fuel.
And if you can be part of that process, that's cool. That's it gives you such a sense of purpose. It gives you such a appreciation of actually being able to share that with others.
It's also unlocking our true potential. It is underlying, and it's so beautiful. And we get to flow, right?
Yes.
Flow and stream, and I can see it. It lights you up.
Yes. Definitely.
But we didn't meet in a coaching practice. We did. No. We met at an amazing event. I was so happy to be being there. I was invited by my one of my best friends, my brother Kareem. I love you. And I was invited by Kareem, and it was the Professional Women Network, organized by an amazing venue at the Van Landschot Van Kempen Bank, or the HQ. And what is your involvement there, and what were you doing? Because you instantly came on my radar. You were beaming energy and also a little bit sometimes nudging, not directing. As I can imagine, you can also easily be very direct. And that's good because you want to make sure that everybody has a good time. But I saw a bundle of energy, and it was you came on my radar, so I became curious, and the rest is history. That's
how we are here.
It's really, I love to invite you. But what was your role, and why are you doing what you're doing right there?
Well, right now I'm the VP of events at the Professional Women's Network in the Netherlands, which means I'm organizing all kinds of events. Both bigger, both smaller, both online. And why I do it? Well, because I'm an events person since 10, right? Age 10, starting with events. But for Professional Women's Network, it obviously started me moving to the Netherlands, which was 4.5 years ago. And I was conscious then about building my network, starting up, going out. And I also knew that the best way how to do that is to volunteer. So I think it was quite conscious, and I still remember my first event at the Professional Women's Network. It was like that summer break through COVID, where all of a sudden people were allowed again to go out and meet. And we have just literally moved. We were like 1 week in. And so I meet with those fabulous ladies, and I still remember we were all wearing different colored leather jackets. So we were laughing at ourselves like, oh, there's a style pattern going on. But I clicked with them like this. And pretty much that evening I signed up to the mentoring program of Professional Women's Network, which meant becoming their premium member and signing up as a mentee. And for me, the quest was, okay, which networks should I join if I want to integrate as fast as possible? And yeah, so my journey started. I loved it. And half a year later, I was approached well, not really approached. We were, again, for me, there's music and then there's sitting and drinking wine with people, which creates miracles, right? So I was drinking wine with another lady who was at that point running the mentorship program, and the other lady has left, so she was alone, and she was looking for somebody to help her. And I was like, "What do you need help with?" She's like, "Well, help organizing events." And this, like, organizing events.
That hit the nerve.
That's me. Hello. So it started, and we were such a great duo with Sugafe. Sugafe, thanks for actually bringing me into the volunteer team. And then later, of course, it grew into helping the actual events, then going into the events team. At one point, I was both in mentoring team and events team. And then I became the VP of events, which means, currently, this is a good shout out. I'm really looking for other volunteers to help with the events.
Are men also allowed?
Of course. We have, I think, 4 or 5 men as our members.
Well, as you know, I'm helping aspiring, impact-driven female founders find clarity, direction, and alignment. Yeah. And I'm very involved in a few women community, women's health community, and my coaching business is 95% women focused. My podcast is also, it's not a scientific thing to analyze it. It's just on a beer mat. A simple calculation. 95% of my guests are women. I'm a father of 3 daughters. And in the future,
surrounded.
Yeah, I'm surrounded. And in the podcast with Kimo Kamara, who interviewed me a week ago and will be published on the 28th of April, I will share also my deeper why I am so involved in helping and moving the needle of more equality and equitable future, and especially more women in every aspect of business, of life, and because humanity is being served by having more and more equality in the world, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So I would love to discover how can I help, and let's do that for later. But here it is. You have one found.
Great. Well, that's how it works. Everything works from a conversation and asking what you want, which was actually the theme of our Professional Women's Network event for the International Women's Day. Because the topic was give to gain. Yeah. From intent to impact.
Yes. And that's why I shared, of course, the podcast, and that's how it all started. But I'm here to help, and we need more male ally. And more.
Absolutely. And the thing is, indeed, I can do a lot of things on my own. Doesn't mean that I enjoy it.
No, it's...
But that's that's also part of the change and learning about myself. Because obviously you start a coaching business, and that's a single entrepreneurship. You're alone all the time. Yeah. You make all your decisions on your own. Yeah. And I know that's for me. That's why I consciously also looked for some teams outside. Hence, the board of the Professional Women's Network is one team where I'm in, and I'm a team player there. Another team where I'm playing in is the Latvian school. As you can see, again, I can't just disappear from a Latvian community anywhere I move in the world. So this time, not within the first months, but within 2 years, I ended up first teaching and then becoming the teacher of the Latvian school in the Netherlands. Which, to explain what it is, it's a weekend school every 3 weeks where children whose one parent, at least, is Latvian, are coming from all over the Netherlands. So we have people coming from Groningen, people coming from Breda, and people coming from I admire it because it means, imagine the parents who are driving their children for 2-3 hours for a 4-hour day where the kid gets to learn a bit more about their culture. The kid gets to talk to other kids in Latvian. The parents get to talk to other parents in Latvian. There are traditions, there are things. It's really a community. And I love building this one. I mean, besides having an amazing team, which again was for me, it was my personal need was for the team. My more bigger mission is still keeping the Latvian culture alive. And then there's still one more underlying thing, which is, again, you integrate in any culture better if you don't lose your roots, but you're proud about your roots and you're curious about the new culture where you moved. And you are very welcoming to the new traditions. And I mean, I can tell we've taken traditions away from different countries. From Belgium, we definitely have taken the King's Day, where you eat a cake, where you have like a little stone in it, and or a bean, doesn't matter. And the one who gets it gets to wear the crown. Sinterklaas from Netherlands. I mean, obviously, being married to a Dutch guy, we had Sinterklaas already, and in Belgium, Sinterklaas is on a different day, so but it's still there, and it's more Saint-Nicolas because Brussels is more French-speaking, and so. And then the midsummer in Sweden is completely different than midsummer in Latvia. And in Sweden you have kräftskiva, which is eating crayfish. Oh my God. And I love the traditions. I mean, I still go back to Sweden because I have some friends there. And if I can go back, I go back when I can do the crayfish party. It's crazy fun. And tasty. So it comes all together. It's like having a party with tasty food and nice drinks and in a great environment with a great company surrounding you. So it fits me. So those are the things which I do. And sometimes people say, how do you do that all? And how long you're going to do that? Or how do you see yourself? And I have to admit one more thing to you now. I've actually made a decision that I love having a team around me so much, but it's too little. Because once every 3 weeks or once every month, I want a daily one or a weekly at least. So I'm probably somebody who's going back into corporate after being more than 15 years an entrepreneur. Scared shitless. Again, sorry for the French. Because there are a lot of things.
And what are you looking for then? Make it specific.
I'm looking for my strengths. Events and community building.
And put it to work in the corporate environment.
And also hotels. I mean, I've applied to several hotels in similar positions because, if I'm honest, hotels is just my first love. And here in Amsterdam, you have amazing hotels. Full disclosure, probably not the best paying jobs, but hey, it's, in my case, again, sure, money is important.
Yeah, but it's more about
for
fulfillment.
Me, it's people.
Yeah, it's people.
It's the environment. It's again the team. It's again how much can you put in? How much difference can you make? And so I'm again in a next transition, and it comes also because my little one is old enough to be on his own, and partly I'm glad that I had the chance to be self-employed and thus doing all the football runs or being with him when he comes home from school for a moment at least, and then say like, okay, I have a next client, I have to go back. I've been really lucky that I had that with both of my children.
Beautiful. And
kind of like now when they are a bit grown up, I feel like, okay, next stage. So I'm really at a changing point again. Consciously.
And you love that, and you do it deliberately. We will share your contact details, such as your LinkedIn profile, in the show notes. So if listeners are interested to getting to know more about you and about organizing events, I can highly recommend you, because what I saw happening there, and I told you already in our pre-video call that you made me instantly think about the book of Priya Parker, The Art of Gathering,
which I haven't read. But
yeah,
okay.
no,
Yeah.
but you make me think
Yeah.
about because it's not about the reading, but about applying it later on. And you were applying it without reading it,
Yes.
and you were applying it in your being. So I can highly recommend you in that
list.
space. And hey, we're circling back. We're heading towards the end of our conversation, and we're circling back to our central theme, learning about yourself through change. And now I have a question about that. Looking back at your journey with some bumpy roads,
Yes.
but also a lot of learning and a lot of celebration and a lot of joy,
Yes.
and a lot of, but also depressions, postnatal depression, also feeling not completely fitting in.
Yes, absolutely.
Are there one or two things on that journey of learning about yourself through change where you are most proud of yourself?
Yes, the fact that I was able intuitively or otherwise find ways which work for me, which help me get out. And as I said, even the initial episodes of depression where I toughened it through, now knowing what I actually was dealing with and understanding that I could toughen through that. Not bad. I mean, not smart, obviously, but there is, I have the inner guidance which always guides me and which I believe we have to listen more often into. So it's like the concept which we all know, that all the truth, all the answers, all the knowledge is already inside of you.
Yes.
You just have to access it.
And unlock it.
Then you unlock it, access it. But that's, again, it comes with those aha moments when you're ready for something. And you see, and it clicks, the moment when you are ready for it. But then don't wait too long to actually take an action on it. And for me, that's why I also love coaching versus therapy, for example, is that in therapy you talk. And for me it was like, okay, we're fifth time talking about my mom or something, right? It doesn't help me. And coaching, I love because you get to get out something of your system, you get to switch your perspective, and then you actually get to commit to a tiny action step, at least. And you have to figure out what's your best system of being kept accountable.
Yes.
Right? And those are the things which really move you differently. And so I think that one thing is uncovering, rediscovering, learning about yourself. The other is, how do you act on that? So knowledge without action is just a degree, right?
It's an illusion. Yeah, it's nothing. Wow, Ilze. What a
I can't believe that it's so much time has went by. I was enjoying it so much.
I would love to thank you very much for your openness, for everything you shared. If there's one last sort of, maybe advice or maybe gentle nudge for someone who's listening and who's right now feeling spiraling down inward, and although it's not diagnosed as depression at that moment, but some you feel that something is off. What would be your the few words you would love to end this conversation with?
Well, I think it's not only depression. I mean, nowadays you have enormous amount of bouts of anxiety. You have undiagnosed ADHD, autism. You have it all. And it's sometimes not even about the labels. I think at the deeper core of it, it is about you learning about yourself and you seeing the light in yourself. So if I can share, I know I said it to you in the video interview, one thing which really, really lifted me up was when I was playing a transformation game and I had a card which said, remember, you are made of stardust, just like the rest of us. Let it sink in, and just for the sake of translating, it's about you, yourself, but also about others. And we never learn about ourselves alone. We always learn about ourselves in connection with others. So look for that connection. Ask for help. Asking for help is a strength, not a weakness.
Thank you very much. Thank you for listening and for giving this conversation your attention. If something in it resonated, a thought, a feeling, a quiet shift, let it settle in its own way. There's no need to make sense of it all right now. Journeys of Empowerment is more than a podcast. It's a space where stories meet us differently and where something small can ripple into something meaningful over time. And if this episode connected with you, you might pass it on to someone who could use it. That's how these conversations move forward, gently, from one person to another. You can follow along if you'd like to keep listening. It helps these stories reach those who are still searching for clarity, direction, or a sense of belonging. For now, just take a breath, see what remains within you.